Do you have a new container that you need to fill with new soil, or do you want to use an old container with old soil to plant new plants into? Stay tuned and find out how to get it done. Hey everybody, Sean and Allison here from Spoken Garden.
Hi you guys.
So Allison and I are here to teach you garden care skills and build your plant knowledge so you can become better gardeners.
And thank you guys for being here. Welcome. This is our spring planting video series. You want to make sure you don't miss out on any of our other garden care videos. Make sure and hit that subscribe button.
So what we have in front of us here is we have two containers. One we used last year with last year's soil in it. And then this year we've got a brand new one with no soil in it at all. We're going to show you two different scenarios to get you ready to get your containers prepped for this spring.
So your first step, before you even get anything else started, is to check for drainage. You want to make sure that your containers have drain holes in them. So we're going to check ours right now.
So what do we got here, honey? Do we have drain holes? I can't see
We do.
that.
We have
right.
plenty of drain holes.
Cool.
And you can see the drainage hole right at the bottom there. As each container is basically its own little environment, right? So this leads perfectly into the next step, because you need to simulate the outside environment right here in this one container. So we need to add rocks or some kind of material to the bottom before you add any soil. So Sean, why do we do that?
So, great question, and it's something you need to be aware of. When you have drainage in your pot, you want to make sure that there's an air capacity, there's a space capacity at the bottom of the container, so water can freely flow out of that drain hole or your drain holes if you have more than one. And if you have soil directly up against those drain holes, it's not a bad thing, but it's harder for the water to move through those drain holes if it's just soil right up to it. It's better to have those rocks or some type of pieces of clay or something in there.
Maybe broken pieces of other pots?
Yeah, totally. And what you do is you create that space, you create that area there for water to freely flow a lot better than if it was just the soil right up against the pot and that hole.
Cool. So we're going to add some rocks. This container already has them, I think, from last year.
Well, we got to check.
We should check.
Yeah.
But as you'll check that one, and I'll add new rocks to this one.
Totally.
Oh, there are no rocks in the bottom.
Oh, wow. Okay,
we
so
did not do that.
good thing we checked. All right. There's some rocks. Cool.
Okay,
So and you got yours set too?
Yep, we've got rocks. So what we did is we took some larger sized rocks, probably like about that big, and they're kind of in a little pile right around where the drainage hole is.
Yep. Make sure you want to stack rocks over it and then around that, so it kind of builds that little area that free flows water better.
It's a great tip.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refill my pot with the soil I just dumped out, and Allison's going to fill her pot with new soil.
Which is the next step. After you get your drainage and everything set up, add your soil. So while Sean is going through and cleaning up the soil that we used last year, since I have brand new soil, I'm pretty much set until the next step. As soon as Sean is done cleaning out the old soil, we're going to go on to the next step in this pot. And what that means is we need to add some new soil amendments, maybe compost or new soil or sand, or anything that you might need to use to amend your old soil.
And the reason we want to do that in this pot is because we're using last year's soil. So it's last year's soil. It probably doesn't have as many nutrients as the new soil does. So we want to kind of beef this up. We want to kind of refresh this soil. And the way we're going to do that is add some new soil, mix it in, and then it should be pretty good to go for this season. And a note here, when you're filling pots, you want to fill them up, but you don't want to fill them all the way up to the edge. And the reason is because when you go to water the plants in their new containers, you don't want the water to just fall out of the top of the container. You want it to soak in, sit, and soak down into the soil. So you're going to leave a lip between the soil and the top of the container, about 2 inches or so. And that'll create a little space for water to sit and to slowly filter down into your pot.
So is this pretty good, Sean?
Yep, that looks pretty good. And something else to remember too, folks, is that when you do this, as you keep watering your plants, over time, the soil will settle. So keep that in mind when you're doing this.
Now the next step is, if you're going to plant in them right away, you want to add some water to the container. We've decided to plant our Spanish lavender in this pot, so we're going to go ahead and water this container and get it ready for planting. This container we're not planting in right away, so we're just going to kind of put it off to the side. We're basically done with this container.
So we've got our watering wand here. We're going to water this in. If you're wondering what this watering wand is, this is called a Dram rain wand, and this is a 16-inch multi-head water wand, and Dram makes these. They're really cool. A link will be down in the description area if you're interested in finding out more about it. Here we go. We're going to water this in just lightly, but get the soil wet because we want that moisture in there before we put the plant in there. It'll just make it easier for the plant to get established that much better. When we're doing this, we're going to make a hole in the center because we want to place our plant in the center, and then later on we're going to plant other plants around the side of it that'll fit with the lavender and its watering needs. So there's your steps to get your pots prepped before you plant this spring, and we hope that was helpful.
So you saw us go through this step. We showed you two different examples. One of a pot that had nothing in it, it was brand new. And for this container that we already had soil in because we used it last year.
So everybody, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel so you get updated on our latest videos.
And stay tuned for our next spring planting series video, which is coming up soon. If you have bulbs to plant, you're not going to want to miss out.
Everybody, thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.